December 1892, a brutal nor'easter was barreling down on the Montana frontier, and Jacob Harlan could feel it in his bones. 30 years of homesteading had honed his instincts as sharp as a Bowie knife, and the slate-gray sky screamed trouble. His sheep wouldn't last the night if left exposed. He was mending a broken corral when he spotted a teenage girl, maybe 16, slumped against a weathered fence post at the edge of a spread. Her coat was shredded, blonde hair crusted with ice and blood, and she gripped a crumpled stagecoach ticket to Billings, stamped 4 days prior. Jacob had lost his daughter to cholera back in '68 and vowed never to let anyone close enough to break him again. For 3 decades, he'd honored that oath, living like a ghost on his isolated ranch. The wise move was to saddle up, ride into town, and dump the problem on a marshal. But the wind was howling fiercer by the minute, temperatures plunging like a stone in a well. In hours, the storm would bury everything. In a day, she'd be frozen solid. Jacob Harlan swung down from his mare, knelt in the snow, and felt the gravity of a choice that could unravel his solitary life. What cost would kindness exact this time? "Miss, can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open, dazed and fever-bright. When she saw his grizzled face, she recoiled weakly, but her limbs betrayed her. "Easy there," Jacob murmured, his tone softer than it had been since burying his girl. "You're safe. Don't send me back," she rasped. Jacob scooped her up, shocked at how feather-light she felt, and carried her to his cabin. He settled her on the cot that had been his daughter's, untouched for years. As he tended her wounds by lantern light, the bruises told of grim, tail-faded greens mingling with fresh blacks and blues. This wasn't a one-time beating. It was a pattern etched into her skin. "What's your name?" "Emily Whitaker," she whispered, like admitting a sin. Jacob paused. "Whitaker?" He knew a Cyrus Whitaker, who owned a rundown saloon in Silver Creek, a spineless drunk with a reputation for shady deals. But this girl didn't favor him. "Cyrus Whitaker's your kin?" Emily's expression turned guarded, not puzzled. "Stepfather. After Ma passed, he said I was his burden." The way she spat burden chilled Jacob to his core. As Emily drifted into uneasy sleep, Jacob eyed the stagecoach ticket. Billings one way. Then he noticed a folded paper in her pocket, a contract from Barnum's traveling circus. He hesitated, but unfolded it. If trouble was chasing her, he needed the full picture. The terms curdled his gut. She'd been sold by her stepfather for $75 to play the orphan wild child in their freak show. When Emily stirred around midnight, Jacob sat by the hearth, the contract laid bare. "How long?" he asked. 8 months, she murmured. "He claimed I was raised by wolves after Indians raided our wagon train. Made me act it out nightly the rescue bit, tied to a pole while clowns played heroes." Jacob recalled seeing a circus poster once. The crowds ate up those spectacles. "The marks?" "From the handlers and Cyrus before he pawned me off." She huddled deeper under the quilt. "I bolted 4 days back, swiped cash for the coach, but it derailed in a snowdrift 30 miles out. Been trudging since." Outside, the storm unleashed hell, winds battering the cabin like artillery. For now, isolation was their shield, but blizzards fade. The gale pounded for 4 days. On the 5th dawn, silence reigned under clear skies along with the thud of approaching riders. Cyrus Whitaker led the pack, flanked by his roughneck, Jed Harlano relation to Jacob and Marshal Ben Caldwell, with 2 deputies, their stars glinting coldly. Jacob met them on his porch, shotgun cradled casually. "Jacob," Marshal Caldwell barked, "we got to talk about the runaway you're hiding. Cyrus says his stepdaughter's unstable, maybe dangerous." Cyrus avoided Jacob's gaze, his face haggard, hands trembling from more than frost. "She's not here," Jacob lied flatly. Caldwell smirked. "Mind if we search?" From a window, Emily peeked out, spotting Cyrus and blanching with raw terror. That look sealed Jacob's resolve. Whatever Cyrus had inflicted, it was unforgivable. She's staying put, Jacob said low. Caldwell's hand hovered near his holster. Be smart, Jacob. She belongs with her family. Cyrus is torn up. Family? Jacob's jaw tightened. You mean the snake who hawks kids to carnies for booze money? Cyrus flinched. You don't get it. After her ma died, debts piled up. The railroad barons were choking us, small folk. Emily was just collateral. Jacob spat. Property, you mean? Caldwell advanced, drawing slowly. That's slander. Cyrus is a pillar in Silver Creek. Whatever lies she's spinning, she's touched in the head. The circus folks warned she was trouble. Circus folks? Jacob's eyes narrowed. How much do they slip you to look away? But Caldwell wasn't justice incarnate. Jacob had seen enough graft in the post-war chaos to spot a bot lawman. Then Jed Harlan shattered the tension. Drop it, Ben. The hired gun had his pistol out not on Jacob, but Caldwell. I've witnessed Cyrus's discipline. Heard her screams through thin walls. She ain't returning to that hell. Caldwell flushed crimson. You're digging your grave, Jed. Maybe, but I'm done with shallow ones. The standoff crackled. 5 men, triggers itchy, each daring the next to twitch. Cyrus crumbled first. Enough. He slid from his saddle, knees buckling in the drifts, sobs racking him. 30 years of rot spilling out. I sold her, he wailed. Lord, forgive me like chattel. Caldwell's aim faltered. This wasn't the plan. Cyrus, come up. No. Cyrus glared at Jacob, eyes bloodshot. Want the truth? After my wife went, Emily was my world at 11. Looked just like her ma. But I was sinking in red ink, barons calling loans. She blossomed, and my thoughts turned poison. Jacob's stomach roiled. So when the circus rolled through, offering cash for a wild girl, I convinced myself it beat what I might have done if she stayed. Jed lowered his weapon, revolted. The deputies shifted uneasily. But that's not the nadir, Cyrus gasped. When she escaped and came home, I was relieved I missed her, yet terrified the town would learn my shame. Caldwell holstered. The mess was too volatile. Cyrus, you. I need judgment. Cyrus rose unsteadily. Emily, I know you're listening. From the doorway, Emily emerged, steely despite her pallor. I'm sorry, Cyrus breathed. So damn sorry. Emily eyed the monster who'd shattered her youth, traded her for $75 and fleeting peace. I believe you, she said evenly. But apologies don't mend the broken. Cyrus nodded, pulling a worn pouch his meager savings, perhaps $250. It ain't restitution, he offered Jacob. Never will be. Then he snatched Caldwell's cuffs, snapping them on. I confess, sold Emily Whitaker to Barnum's Circus, breaking anti-trafficking laws. I confess to failing as a guardian in every hellish way. Caldwell gaped. Cyrus, think the feds the probe. We'll uncover what I say. Cyrus glanced at Emily one final time. Maybe bars will teach me to bear this. But as Caldwell grabbed the reins, Cyrus clutched his chest, collapsing hard. Years of vice and remorse had exacted their toll. Jed checked him. Heart gave out, he muttered. Emily watched from the threshold as her tormentor perished in the snow. No triumph surged, just a void where rage once festered. Caldwell surveyed the wreckage. A corpse, a fugitive teen, a defiant rancher, a turncoat hand. His payoffs would surface eventually, but today? This never occurred, he growled. Cyrus Whitaker keeled, over while hunting for his missing stepdaughter. Natural causes. Not if you follow. It wasn't pure justice, but the nearest they'd snag. As the posse hauled Cyrus away, Jed neared Jacob. She can't linger here. Tongues a wag. Jacob knew eat a young girl with an old widower spelled scandal. But Emily had no refuge. My aunt's got a diner in Billings, Jed offered. Clean work, self-reliant. Emily stepped up. I'll fund my ticket. She brandished Cyrus's pouch-tainted cash, but legal tender. Jacob gazed at the girl who'd thawed his frozen heart in days, filling his home with purpose he'd thought extinct. Spring thawed Montana early in '93. By April, trails cleared, and Emily Whitaker bundled her scant possessions into a valise from Jacob's late wife. The stage to Billings departed Silver Creek at dawn. Jacob drove her in his buckboard, words sparse but heavy with unspoken bonds. She'd aided lambing season, cooked hearty stews that chased his loneliness, and evenings by the fire, he'd read from his daughter's primers, both feigning permanence. At the depot, Emily faced him in the warming sun. She looked mature, not by scars but hard-won insight. "Will you write?" "If you wish." "I do." She handed a parcel, a tintype of her by his corral, petting his stallion, taken in town with her coins. Inscribed, "To Jacob Harlan, who taught me what a real father means. E.W., Spring 1893. The coach horn blared. Emily kissed his cheek, boarded without a backward glance. Jacob watched it vanish into the rolling plains, carting away the kin he'd reclaimed after decades. That evening, alone in his cabin, he studied the photo. Wind sighed over greening fields, hinting at harsh seasons ahead. But Jacob Harlan no longer dreaded solitude. Saving one soul had reignited his own will to endure. Some folks chase atonement lifelong. Sometimes it hunts them down. What do you think about the tough choices in this tale? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you side with Jacob's defiance? Or was there a better path? Share your stance on redemption, abuse, and standing up to corruption. I'd love to hear your views.